primacy of reality.
Pioneer of the three-finger banjo pickers in what's now called bluegrass. When Ralph started playing with his brother Carter back in the mid-40s, they were playing old-time music, at least what we call old-time music now, and putting their own style to it. Ralph was raised with old-time music and eventually developed his own three-finger style of banjo picking. But all down through the years and all the programs that he and Carter put on, and then that he's also played with his own band, he's always kept some of the old-time style of banjo picking and singing in his music. So what we're going to do today is to trace his early musical development through some of the old-time styles that he plays and through his development of his own three-finger banjo picking. So here's Ralph Stanley.
Thank you, Mike, for the nice introduction, and I hope we can get together and show the folks a lot of the way things was back in the old days.
Well, I wonder if you could tell us a little bit about both the banjo picking and the singing that you were raised with by your mother and father.
Well, most of the singing that I was raised with, we didn't do too much music. We went to the old churches where they didn't have any music, and we would sing like that. Of course, when I started playing the banjo, my mother, she taught me to play a couple of tunes on the old five-string. Did
your mother or father ever sing any of those old songs that there was no music to, the old ballads and things?
They would both sing them in church, and then lots of times neighbors would come in and maybe form like 6 or 8 different singers and would visit each other at night. And I know a lot of times they would sing maybe till 12 o'clock at night, and back at then that was late.
Mm-hmm. Did you have a radio too, or was that before the radio was around?
Well, at first we didn't have a radio, but as soon as the radios come out, I guess, well, we did get a radio. I think that was about 1936.
Well, I wonder if you could show us a little bit of the banjo picking that you first learned, maybe the first tune that you learned from your mother in the style that she played.
Mike, I'll try to. It was what I call a claw hammer, and the tune was Shout Little Luley. And I play it just a little bit different now than she did then, but you want me to show, if I can, as much as I can like she played it?
Yes, first. Yeah.
Okay. She used the one finger and thumb and hit the strings clear with her notes. Mm-hmm. And I use maybe both of these fingers a little bit the way that I play it to make a little rhythm.
That sounds like an unusual tuning, Ralph. I wonder if you could just rake across the strings open and show us what tuning you have it in.
Yeah, I sure will, Mike. See, where you usually play it in a G tuning, mm-hmm. You tune the second up, mm-hmm. and the fourth down. So here's.
Is there a name for that tuning?
I just call it, sometimes I call it the old sawmill gear.
Mm-hmm. Did your mom have a name for the style of banjo picking that she was doing?
Not really. She just called it, the old time way, and I sort of put the label claw hammer on it. Mm-hmm. When I do this, something like a claw hammer. Clawing, mm-hmm. Or clawing, I mean.
Mm-hmm. I wonder if you could show us once more, real slow as you possibly can, the way that she used to play?
I'll do my best. In order to keep your hand, you know, in motion, it's hard, but I'll try my best. Sometimes you might just spell up just a little bit to doing it slow like that. Whether if you was going on, well, it'd be more relaxed for you.
Well, why don't you do it real fast right now? What's the name of that tune, anyway?
Shout Little Luley.
Okay.
Yeah, Shout Little Luley. I've recorded that several different times in the last 46 years.
How come you keep on playing the old-time style now? A lot of people have left that behind, but you haven't.
That's mostly the reason that I do, because there's not anybody else much that does. And I like it. Actually, it's harder for me to play that than it is to use the fingers and thumb, but I like it, and I like to keep it around because, like you said, there's not too many. Well, I don't know of anybody really that plays that same way there.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of different ways of getting that claw hammer lick, and Ralph Stanley knows at least 4 that I've seen, and he's shown you one that he learned from his mother so far. I wonder if you could show the other ways, Ralph.
Mike, I'll do my best to, and the first way that I'll do it, I'll use my thumb up on the 5th string, and then I'll use this one finger here coming up on it. Mm-hmm. You'll notice. Now I'll use...
Could you slow that down a little bit for them, and so they can see just what that finger is doing? That's a busy first... So you're just using one finger to pull up, and then brush down.
Right, Okay. So now I'll still use the one finger and the thumb, but I'll hit down on it instead of coming up. You can tell it's been a while since I've done that.
That's kind of like the way that your mother played, then, isn't it?
So, yeah, something like that, yeah. And then this is another, and I do a little different. I use these fingers to get a little rhythm with, and I still come up on this finger. And
so up with the first finger?
Yeah, up with the first finger, but I use these fingers a little with it.
Okay. Okay. Now, there's one more way.
One more way, and that's when I go down on it, hit it downward, and using these fingers here for rhythm this way.
So it's down with your first finger?
Down, well, I hit the strings with about 3 of them, I guess. This is the most important, but this just gives it a little rhythm.
But first, is it first just with one finger?
Yeah, I'll hit first with one finger, but these will be right behind it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Maybe as I do it, you can get more about it. I'll try to play it as slow as I can.
Okay. Which of those is the one that you usually do when you're playing that?
Usually I do the last one. It's a little bit easier, and that other's hard to do if you don't just do it every day, and which I haven't done it in several years.
Well, I wonder if you could sing a few verses of the song and pick it in your favorite way on the banjo, just here.
I'll try to. It might not be the right key for me to do my best singing in, but I'll...
Shall we raise it up a little bit?
Well, maybe I can get by here.
Okay.
I'll play it maybe one time this way and then once this way.
Okay.
I'll claw it once and then I'll hit it down once.
Okay.
Little birdie, won't you sing to me a song? Got a short time to stay here, and a long time to be gone. Little birdie, what makes you fly so high? When you know that my true love is awaiting in the sky. It's the very best I could do it.
Your dad was a good old-time singer, I understand.
Yeah, he was. He done most of his singing in the churches, though. He never did play any music, but he was a good singer. A lot of times, I've done some of this lining like they did in the old-time churches that I was raised up in, and he was very good at that old-time singing.
Did he sing any of those old love songs? It seems to me that you said that he sang some song like a Brown Girl or a House Carpenter. Or...
Yeah, back when I was real small, he done a little of that. I've heard him sing A Man of Constant Sorrow and Pretty Polly and The Brown Girl and maybe House Carpenter, something like that. But I forgot them old songs. I was real small when he was doing that, because in the later years, he just strictly done church songs.
Mm-hmm. Would you remember a verse or two of the Brown Girl or House Carpenter, just to sing without any music at all?
I'll try. Let's see. I might know maybe a verse of the Brown Girl, and I may not know a full verse. Let's see. I don't know what key to get in. Come, fathers, come, mothers, I'll ask you both. I'll ask you both as one, whether I should marry pretty fair Ellen or bring the brown girl home. The brown girl, she has house and land, farewell, and she has none. And if you'll take warning from such kind friends, you'll bring the brown girl home. That was a little low, and that's all I can remember of it.
Well, that's pretty. I hear a lot of that same feeling in your singing with the band. Your singing style brings back a lot of that old feeling. Do you work at that, or is it just what happens, or?
Mike, I couldn't sing it any other way. I think it just comes natural. I think it's born and bred in you. Like I said, my daddy had a lonesome voice, and I had a great uncle that was an old Baptist preacher. And a lot of people that remembers him, they say that I sound just like him. And he was one of the biggest preachers that ever was in our part of the country, down in the southwestern part of Virginia. He would ride horses for miles. They would call him everywhere, all over the county, to come preach. Mm-hmm. And people tell me that I've got a lot of his sound.
Mm-hmm. Well, a lot of people take the older songs and bring them more modern. And the thing that you've done, it seems to me, is to keep some of that same old feeling there. How can you get away with that?
Well, I really don't know. Maybe we might change some of the old songs a little bit, but I know that we do keep a lot of the old sound in it. I like that old sound, and I'm proud that a lot of our people does. And I've got a lot of fans that they want the clawhammer banjo, and they want the old-time singing. Sometimes I'll line a song like I heard it do in church back when I was just a small boy. Mm-hmm. The reason that the preacher lined that song, he would be up in the stand, and a lot of times they would only have one songbook. Mm-hmm. So the congregation, the people that was helping sing, they didn't know the words to the song, and that's the way that he lined it out, and then they followed the lines.
Let's get back to the banjo here. Now, there's at least a couple other tunings that you picked the banjo in, and I wonder if we could get it down into the G.
We'll do it.
There's a lick that I want to get the folks to see here. You were playing it out when we were warming up here, where you go down on that string and then get something on the backstroke.
Tickle it a little bit.
Yeah, that's right.
I'll play a tune that I made myself, Cutting the Cornbread.
Good. I know this isn't your usual Stanley tone banjo. Is this anything like the banjo that you first played?
Yeah, it certainly is. I learned to play on an old, back then they called it a 39 bracket. And in those days, the more brackets it had, the better the banjo was. If you happen to see a banjo with maybe 15 or 16 brackets, why, it wasn't any good. Mm-hmm. And I had one 39 brackets. Now this one's got 30, and it reminds me of it a whole lot. And it sounds a lot like it. If you don't mind, let me do that just once on this other banjo.
Why don't you take your own banjo?
I'm more used to it. I'll just reach over here and get it. That's a fine banjo, but you know, the instrument's a little awkward unless you're used to it.
That's, I understand. Ralph, I wonder if you could show us that sneaky tickling of the strings where you knock down on that first string and then pull back up on it real fast. I think it especially happens in the high part of cutting the cornbread.
I'll do my best. It's hard to get that little sneaky lick, you know, slow, but I'll get it as slow as I can.
Now, when you do it fast, it sounds quite different than that.
Mm-hmm.
How about playing it up to speed a little bit?
All right.
To hear old-time banjo pickers play in this tuning?
Yeah. They. My mother played some in the G tuning.
I wonder if you could play us one tune that you learned from her in this tuning.
Well, I probably could. Maybe going up Cripple Creek. I never was too good on that, but I could try it again.
I'll just give a little bit.
Okay. That's the way they ended it. Wasn't they shave and a haircut?
Yeah, just stop. Huh?
Yeah.
So that's the G tuning.
That's the G tuning, yeah.
Well, we've talked about the music that you had around home from your folks, but we haven't talked much about the kind of music that maybe you heard people doing shows and maybe on the radio. What were some of the people that you saw who did or heard that played that kind of music? You go out to a schoolhouse or something like that.
You mean it played some of the music like we've been talking about?
Some of the early country entertainers that you might go out to a show and see.
Okay, yeah, the Mainers Mountaineers, that was Wade and J.E., they were brothers. And, of course, the Carter family. See, I was raised just adjoining counties with the old original Carter family. And then we heard the Delmore brothers, the Monroe brothers, and then later Bill Monroe, Grandpa Jones, people like that.
Did you hear some of them in person?
Yeah. I believe the first show that I saw on the stage in person was Delmore brothers and Bill Monroe, where they played the high school that I graduated from. And they were there together on a double show.
What kind of an effect did that have on you?
Well, it's hard to explain. It just I don't know, just tore me all to pieces. Didn't know what to think. I'd heard some on the radio, but when I saw them perform in person, why, that was something else. How I'd like to be up there doing that.
Well, did you and Carter did you have the idea of doing that at that time? Or?
We always wanted to, but I might go back a little farther than what we're talking about now. But when we first got our radio in 1936, we didn't have any instruments. And we had a grate and a fireplace. We burned wood and what we call kindling. Now, kindling is where you split up. We always used dead chestnut. There was a lot of dead chestnut timber. And we would split that up fine, and then you'd take your knife and you'd shave down on that and make a big shaving and just leave them sticking on there.
Mm-hmm.
Get you 3 or 4 pieces, and then that's the way you would start your fire of a morning. So when we would hear the fiddles and the instruments on the radio, we made us some out of them kindling sticks. So when, well, especially the Grand Ole Opry, when it would come on Saturday night, we'd get the sticks and play right along with them.
Well, how'd you tell who's playing what?
You couldn't.
That's right. Well, did you all sing some with that too?
I don't think we did it that early at that time. But another one I'd like to mention is we lived way back in the country in the hills there, and they brought our mail, carried the mail on a horse, and this fellow, his name was Woodrow Owens, and he played the harmonica, and he rode this old horse, and there was a big curve, something like I'd say 1/4 of a mile from where we lived, but you could see when they come around the curve, and you could hear that horse's feet a patting, and you could hear that old harmonica. He'd lay the reins out on the horse's neck, and you could hear that harmonica, and boy, it sounded good. So we'd watch for him, and then when he'd get to our mailbox, well, that's where we'd be sitting, Carter and me. Mm-hmm. And sometimes he would sit there for an hour and play that harmonica for us.
Well, then you had this idea with the kindling for a while, and then eventually you started playing some music.
Well, we finally got a guitar. That same mailman brought Carter's guitar to him on that horse. Of course, I brought my banjo, or my parents did, from my aunt. She lived just below us, and I was really mixed up. I didn't know what I wanted to do. Now, Carter was always, he knew what he wanted. Mm-hmm. And I had in mind maybe to make a veterinarian at one time, farm a little bit. So my aunt had some pigs, sow and raised some pigs, and she sold them at $5 a piece. And she had a banjo. She wanted $5 for it. So my mother told me, said, now you can't have both, but whichever one you want, I'm going to buy for you. And so I chose the banjo, which I'm very glad I did. And we had just a little store of a thing there, and I know she traded that banjo out in groceries. $5 worth. But that was a big load then. Yeah.
Well, did you and Carter start singing songs then that you learned from your folks, or from the people, these professional musicians that were coming?
From the professional musicians we heard. Mm-hmm. Of course, I always was done more of the church singing than Carter did. I was all the time going around humming or doing some of that old time singing with no music.
Mm-hmm. Well, when you started playing, the two of you, then you were picking the banjo most of the time, is that right?
Right, yeah, I was picking the banjo, and Carter was playing the guitar. And we just started singing. And I guess we sounded pretty bad, I don't know, because our daddy would run us out of the house. We'd have to go to the barn or somewhere and rehearse.
But after a while, you made it into the house.
After a while, we made it into the house, and he was very proud of us, I think, yeah.
When you picked the banjo in those days, what style did you use in the early times with you and Carter?
Well, actually, when we started playing, I didn't do much of the claw hammer. I was doing the one, just a finger and thumb. I'll tell you who I heard do that was Wade Maynard. I mentioned Maynard's Mountaineers. Mm-hmm. And I don't guess I played exactly like he did, but that's where I got my idea to do the one finger and thumb.
I wonder if you could show us some of that style. Did you wear picks from the start when you did that style?
No, I don't believe I had picks. I just don't remember, but I don't think I did at the start when I played that. I can do it either way. I can do it without the picks. I used to pick Little Maggie that way.
Now, why did you pick that style rather than the old claw style then?
Well, I just thought that matched songs better. The claw hammer, you know, you have to go on pretty speedy with that, and you sing a lot of close, slow songs that the claw hammer just don't match.
Mm-hmm. It was in the late 40s then, I guess, that you started playing the three-finger style.
Yeah, I started trying to play that about, I guess, 1947.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How come?
I just liked it better, and still I didn't want to copy anybody, but I wanted to play it, but I wanted to do it my own way.
Mm-hmm.
I never could copy anybody on singing or playing or nothing like that.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't, I don't think, if I'd have wanted to, but really I didn't want to. I wanted to get me a sound of my own, and if people liked it, well, that'd be fine. Mm-hmm. I hope they have.
You definitely have your own style in that three-finger way. I wonder if you could show one of the first pieces that you learned to play three-finger style, and then we'll get the band to back you up after...
Let me get my picks out. I don't know which one was the first I learned to play, but since I played a little Maggie there, the one finger, I'll just play a little of it if you want me to.
Great. I wonder if you could just slow this little Maggie with the three-finger style down a little bit, or a good deal.
you can get you another man.
Well, I was watching that thumb there. It was working the 5th string and the 4th string and the 3rd string and sometimes even the 2nd string.
I had that fifth finger busy, didn't I?
Well, how would you describe the role that you're doing there?
Well, I'll tell you now. I mostly do a forward roll. Now and then I'll do something different. I call it sort of punctuating, like you know, maybe putting a comma in it or something like a sentence.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know really how to explain that, but that's the best that I know. And like 1, 2, 3. That's my basic roll.
I wonder if you could play us the first tune that you ever made up for the banjo and play it slow now, and then we'll play it with the band after a while.
I'll do my best to play it, and this tune was named after my home county, Dickenson County, Virginia, and it's Dickenson County Breakdown.
Okay. Ralph, I'd like to get you to tell the folks a little bit about the hardware that you're using now. Might as well start with the banjo.
Okay, I'm playing a Stanley tone banjo, Mike, and I think it's one of the best, if not the best, of any banjo that you can find today. And I designed this banjo, and it's being made by Frank Neat in Russell Springs, Kentucky.
Mm-hmm. It's arch top, it looks like, and
it is. I've always played an arch top ever since I've been playing.
Mm-hmm. What kind of strings do you use on it?
Well, I'll tell you, Mike, there's several of the companies that gives me strings, and I haven't bought a string, I guess, in 20 years, and just whichever one that gives them to me most recently, well, that's what I use.
Well,
I use the light gauge.
Light gauge?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. And what kind of picks do you have there, Ralph?
Well, I believe that's a Dunlop, Mike, and I've used them about all the time since I've been playing the banjo. Maybe you can see them there.
And they come pretty far off the end of your fingers there, looks like,
yeah,
too.
they do. Yeah. I just put them up far enough so they won't come off.
When did you put Hard Times together now? How did that come about?
Well, I guess I probably made Hard Times, I would say, in the early 50s, or between 1950 in 1955. I know I recorded it in 1955. And there's a lot of funny chords and things in it, and how I ever found them, I don't know. And there's not too many even guitar players that can follow you on that. Of course, I've got guitar players that can, but there's a lot of people that can.
I think that's a wonderful tune, and it's the only one that I know that. Do you do other tunes in that banjo tuning?
Yeah, sometimes I do a Train 45 in sort of the old-time style.
I wonder if you could drop it down into that other tuning. Do you have a name for this tuning too?
I call it the sawmill key.
Okay.
It's in a D chord. You lower your second. Third. And the fifth. Now sometimes I mess it up too. I was telling about other people. Tough one to play.
Especially that first part. It is really odd, and I wonder if I could get you to run that over even a little slower than that if you can. It was really hard times back when I made that tune. That's why we called it Hard Times. How come? What was hard back
Well,
then?
the money was scarce, and you didn't have too many people when you went out to put on a show, and A lot of times you had to put the show on before you could eat supper or buy gas to get home. Hard times.
That was different than it had been in the 40s, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was during the 50s. About the time that the rock and roll, you know, started. Well, that really hurt the bluegrass. And a lot of the bluegrass entertainers faded out during the 50s. There wasn't but just maybe 2 or 3 groups that had lasted, had stayed with it.
How about the Clinch Mountain back step?
Yeah, I can do that.
Let's get that back up into, is that in G?
Yeah, I'll tune back up in G. Best part about the tuning, it don't cost anything extra.
How did you come to put that piece together?
That's got a lot of 2 or 3 different tunes in it. Pretty Polly, a little Liza Jane, and maybe a little bit of Little Maggie. It's just got some old timers that I just mixed up together and come up with it.
Did you ever play that in the old time banjo style, or did you always play that with 3 fingers?
I've always played that with 3 fingers. The way I choke them notes there, it's hard to get the right lick on the blow hammer.
Ralph, what tips would you give to a beginning banjo picker who wanted to play this kind of music?
Mike, I guess I might be just a little bit tough on younger musicians, but I have always been my theory for people to get something of their own, something different. If there's anything left to get different on a banjo, it would be hard. But I'd say if anybody ever did come up with anything, that it would really pay off. There's so many banjo players that can just really, work on a banjo, really play it. But there's so many that you can't tell who it is unless you look at them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That would be my best advice, if there's any way possible to get their own style.
To actually technically get started in their picking, though, how would you do that then?
Well, I would just, whoever my favorite banjo player was, I'd get some of their records and try to get their roll, and then try to, anything that I could change in it, they would probably have to get somebody's roll, and then it'd be hard. That'd be tough on anybody to do that. But if they ever did, I know I was talking to a fellow one time that was talking about, I can't think of his name, but we were talking about the three-finger roll. And he said if anybody would ever come up with just to double that three fingers some way, that would do it, and that would do it.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know how it could be done.
Well,
I'm afraid to try it.
Well, that might happen sometime.
It could happen.
I guess that's a tip right there. It's a challenge to some young banjo picker.
A lot of young people, 10, 12, 13, 14 years old, is learning overnight what took some of the old timers half of their life to learn. Because the Bible says gets weaker and wiser, don't people get weaker and wiser?
Mm-hmm.
That might be it.
I've been noticing when you're picking the banjo, sometimes on the same part of the tune, sometimes you'll bring your thumb over to catch that note, and sometimes you'll just use your first finger. Now, how do you, not decide, but how do you figure out how to do that?
Well, that's something that I never notice. I know I do it, and sometimes I'll catch it when I'm doing it, but why, I don't know. It might change the sound a little, but I don't realize it when I do it.
You're down in a D-tuning here?
Down in the D-tuning, yeah.
Well, how about doing that old favorite, is it Train 45?
Train 45. We recorded it sort of this way, and we did some talking in it, and, but it takes, the whole band to do that. But I'll play it just a little bit, as much as I can, like we did. That's the old time, Train 45. Played years ago that way.
Now, were you watching your thumb at all that time? Were you thinking about that?
No, I wasn't watching it.
I was watching, and it was sometimes doing it one way, sometimes doing it the other way.
Maybe I let it rest sometimes.
Ralph, I wonder if you could show the folks the lead to one of your more popular songs, the How Mountain Girls Can Love.
I'll try.
getting happy. You whispered to me while I held you close. You hope that night would never end. Get down, boys, go back home, back to the girl you love. Treat her right, never wrong. How girls love. Right tonight in the high cold wind on a trail no lonesome. Thank you. Feel it's blue and why I left you. Get down, boys, go back home, back to the girl you love. Treat her right, never wrong. How girls love.
Do you play around home very much? Play music on your banjo or whatever at home?
I went for several years that I hardly ever picked up the banjo at home. And you know, I've got a young son that's just come along. He's about 13 or 14 years old, and he's playing the guitar. And just maybe 2 or 3 times a week now, he'll come carrying the banjo and the guitar in and says, "Let's play a little bit, Dad."
Mm-hmm.
And I guess that might help me to stay limbered up just a little bit.
I wonder if we could ask him to join you and do one of those songs that you do at home.
I believe he'd like it.
Okay, let's do that.
Folks, this is Father and Son. I'm Ralph 1 and he's Ralph 2 with the Wildwood Flower. Before the guitar was ever thought much about, they used to have the banjo and fiddle around, and the banjo and fiddle had to do their thing together. And what I'm going to do is he'll be doing the fiddling, and I'll just do some background playing with him. And this young gentleman here has been with me for 26 years at this time, and he has never missed a show on the road in 26 years. He's been laid 15 times, and he's been drunk on 14 shows. And we call him all 396 pound of what you see is what you get. The old Kentucky fox hunter, Curly Ray Klein. This next tune we're going to play here, Curly Ray Klein here and me wrote this. on a trip when we was out in California back several years ago. And I'm going to do some more of the background picking behind Curly, and also I'm going to take a little bit of lead. So this one, we named this one after Curly Ray's rooster, Roho. I used to hear this old timer here back when I was just a small boy, and it was always one of my favorite tunes, and I think Curly Ray does a good job on Sarwood Mountain. Folks, this next number we're going to play has been played and sung about every way that anybody could play it. Been done slow, it's been done fast, and I've tuned the old 5 up now in the C tuning, and we're going to do it the way that we like to do it. Be pretty fast, I guess, Curly.
I'll try to keep up with you.
What about John Henry, the Steel Driving Man? Children, go where I send
Oh,
thee.
Lordy,
How will I send thee? Oh, I'm gonna send thee one by one, for the one was a little bitty baby born. Children born in Bethlehem. Children, go where I send
oh,
thee.
Lordy,
How will I send thee? Oh, I'm gonna send thee two by two, for the two was Paul and Silas. One was a little bitty baby born. Children born in Bethlehem. Children, go where I send
oh,
thee.
Lordy,
How will I send thee? Oh, I'm gonna send thee three by three, for the three was the Hebrew children. Two was Paul and Silas. One was a little bitty baby born. Children born in Bethlehem. Children, go where I send
oh,
thee.
Lordy,
How will I send thee? Oh, I'm gonna send thee four by four, for the four was the four that stood at the door. Three was the Hebrew children. Two was the Paul and Silas. One was a little bitty baby born. Children born in Bethlehem. Children, go where I send
oh,
thee.
Lordy,
How will I send thee? Oh, I'm gonna send thee 10 by 10, for the 10 was the 10 commandments. 9 was the 9 that stood in the line. 8 was the 8 that waited at the gate. 7 was the 7 that never got to heaven. 6 was the 6 that didn't get picked. 5 was the 5 that come back alive. 4 was the 4 that stood at the door. 3 was the Hebrew children. 2 was the Paul and Silas. 1 was the little bitty baby born. Children born in Bethlehem. In Bethlehem. Born in Bethlehem. I may not be able to sing like the heavenly angels. I may not be able to preach like Paul. I may not be able to walk on the water like Peter, but I'm willing to try. No, I may not be able to walk like him. I may not be able to talk like him. I may not be able to preach like Paul. I may not be able to walk like him. I may not be able to talk like him, but I'm willing to try. I may not have the obedience of Abraham's sacrifice. I may not be able to stand so tall. I may not have the endurance of Moses in the wilderness, but I'm willing to try. No, I may not be able to walk like him. I may not be able to talk like him. I may not be able to preach like Paul. I may not be able to walk like him. I may not be able to talk like him, but I'm willing to try. Thank you. I'd like to introduce you to the Clinch Mountain Boys now, and we'll start with the oldest one over here on the fiddle, Curly Ray Klein, and then we'll move over to the youngest member here. That's Ralph Stanley II. On the lead guitar is Junior Blankenship. Doing our lead singing is Ernie Thacker, and over on the big bass fiddle is the ex-mayor of Norton, Virginia, Jack Cook. Lives all alone on a dark windy street in a room at the top of the stairs. She smokes cigarettes and stares at the wall, not knowing that my heart will break. the past, the sorrow and regret. She cried about the gray in her eyes. I love her so much, but she just won't believe that any man alive could ever care. She was a girl, for love had treated her unfair. She wouldn't be so sad, and she wouldn't live alone in a room at the top of the stairs.
Went down to the river, I laid down to sleep. When I woke up, had shackles on my feet. Takes a worried man to sing a worried song. Takes a worried man to sing a worried song. Takes a worried man to sing a worried song. Worried now, but I won't be worried long. Down the track, far as I can see. Look down the track, far as I can see. Look down the track, far as I can see. A little white hand was waving back at me. Takes a worried man, sing a word song. Takes a worried man, sing a word song. Takes a worried man, sing a word song. Worried now, but I won't be worried long. I asked the judge for to be my fine. 21 years on a Rocky Mountain line. Take the word, man, sing a word song. Takes a word, man, sing a word song. Takes a word, man, sing a word song. Worried now, but I won't be worried long.
We're going to change around a little bit here now and change styles on the old five-string banjo. And I'm going to do some claw hammer. And the first one we're going to do is, I've got a mule to ride, and then we'll go into Rocky Island, and we'll wind up on, well, we won't wind up, we'll do Little Birdie, and I'm going to do a couple of different licks on Little Birdie, and then we'll wind up with the first tune I ever learned to pick, Shout Little Lulie.
believe I'll go. I don't believe I'll go. Just to keep them tough, I don't believe I'll go. I got a mule to ride. I got a mule to ride. Ain't got no saddle, but I'm ready to ride. The ducks are to the track.
What'd you say?
The ducks are to the track.
Quack, quack.
If he gets my body, have to spin this way. I got a mule to ride. I got a mule to ride. Ain't got no saddle, but I'm ready to ride.
Going on a mountain, saw a little king. See my candy darling, sweet little Auntie Jane. Going to Rocky Island, oh honey ho, oh, oh, oh. See my candy darling, you know I love her so. Wish I had a big white horse, corn to feed him on. Put a little girl to stay at home and feed him when I'm gone. Going to Rocky Island, oh honey ho, oh, 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 oh. See my candy darling, you know I love her so. Little birdie, won't you sing to me a song? Got a short time to stay here and a long time to be gone. Folks, when I was about 11 or 12 years old, my mother taught me to do a tune, this clawhammer style, is an old-timer called Shout Little Lulie. Since that time, I recorded it and played it all over the world, and people seem to like it. And I hope you'll enjoy it now as I play it as much as I can, like my mother taught me. Shout Little Lulie. You ready?
Lonesome, lonesome Ralph. This
river rise and fall. Let the big waves make a wall, 'cause I got them deep, the river blues. My old gal, she's sweet little pal. She walks just like a waterfowl. When I get them deep, the river blues. Bless her little heart. Ain't no one to cry for me. Fish go out on a spree when I get them deep, the river blues.
Good morning, I'm Ralph Rensler from the Smithsonian Institution, where I've spent 25 years thinking about a project like this one. The project we're working on, just as a quick word of introduction, is a combined effort of homespun tapes, whom I think many of you have come to know through the Merle Watson Memorial Festival. They're represented here. Happy and Artie and Jane Traum have been doing this for 25 years. Making it possible for people like us to learn from people we may never get to meet unless we're very lucky. And the Smithsonian, which has a reputation for documenting what's important about our history and our present so that the future can learn from it. The nice thing about this project is that it's not an archival project alone. It's true, what we're doing here this morning will be saved if we can keep our world running in good balance as long as that world is running. And those tapes will be there as long as the technology permits it, so that your children and grandchildren and right on down the line will be able to learn from them. So this is an exercise in keeping something going. The Doc has kept going, and Jack keeps going, and a lot of people that you know keep going. And that's about as important a thing you can do for the people of this world, I think. I just thank heavens for people like Doc Watson.
Hello, folks. Welcome to this workshop. We hope that we do something today that'll be instructive in your learning to play the instruments, whether banjo or guitar. I'm here with Brother Mike Seeger, Pete, and I had Jack Lawrence helping me out on the guitar, doing a fine job there too. Thank you for coming. We really hope you get your enjoys and a whole bunch of learning out of this.
You know, Doc, there must be thousands of people who listen to your records, and maybe some of them have figured out the notes you're playing, and figured out what notes are played by the thumb and how you finger the strings with your left hand. But what they'll find out if they keep on trying is that it takes about a lifetime to get that steady rhythm you got there. That doesn't come overnight.
When I first heard this tune, Pete, it was done by Alton and Raymond Delmore, and there were two guitars, a tenor, a little four-string, and the regular flat top. And I never could get my guitar to sound like both of theirs did. It wouldn't do it. Then I began to hear Brother Merle Travis, the late Merle Travis, on the radio, and I thought, now wait a minute. If I can steal me a lick off of Brother Travis, maybe I can learn Deep River Blues. The first part of the Travis style I learned was this little thumb rhythm. And the way you do that, you mute about the first 3 or 4 strings on the guitar with the back edge of your palm, the ball of your hand here, just where they come off the saddle. And that little chord right there is the little E. Now in that rhythm, you jump the 5th string. I'm lazy. I never figured out a way to bar that and get that 5th in there. You know?
I think a lot of people do that.
Yeah, you jump the 5th string on that rhythm. Then, after about 10 years practice, I began to learn the lead line. See, I just play with one finger and a thumb. I don't use the sensible 3-finger method that you should use on fingerstyle guitar. It's a little diminished chord. Then when you put that with the rhythm, it sounds like this. thought I'd accomplished something that had never been done before when I learned that tune. Cause I got them deep river blues. Let that old river rise and fall. Let the big waves make a wall. Cause I got them deep river blues. My old gal, she's sweet little pie. She walks just like a waterfowl. When I get them deep river blues, bless her little heart, ain't no one to cry for me. Fish go out on a spree when I get them deep river blues. Sail, boys, if she'll float. Yes, I got them deep river blues. Gonna run down to Muscle Shoals. Time's getting better down there, I'm told, boys. I got them deep river blues. Make a wall, cause I got them deep river blues. I might illustrate this run right here. The folks who are interested in learning guitar. It's pull-offs.
Do that again now. Hey, Doc, did you know I invented that little term, pull-off?
You did what?
I was writing a book on to try and show young people how to play a banjo. Mm-hmm. And when you get a note with your left hand by pulling your finger off the string, now my mother was a violinist. She says that's known as left-hand pizzicato.
Yeah, right.
That's too long. I said I call it pull-off.
Yeah, or hammer-on.
So I used those words way back 50 or 60 years ago when I was first learning the banjo, and it's been picked up now all around.
Oh, I can't, since I don't drop thumb on the banjo, I could not play without hammer-ons and pull-offs on the left hand. No way. I'm going to slow this down for you a little bit this time. again. Now here's another ending. Somebody about. That's a fancy one right there. There's some other tunes that you can do have in the same. I finally learned a little bit of Blue Railroad Train.
All right.
Blues.
Those are basically in the same key.
Mm-hmm. Same kind of chord positions. That's a stretch. I can't do that with medium gauge strings either.
You have lights on?
Yeah, there are lights on this. Oh, I don't know what kind of power it'd have with mediums. There's no telling.
Do you normally play with lights?
No, I usually use medium on the old Hoss Gallagher. Blue railroad train going down the railroad track. It makes me feel so doggone blue to listen to the old smokestack. Come back again, let me hear your whistle blow. You're taking the sun and leaving the rain and making me want to go. I get lonesome here, waiting for the manifest. I hope that engineer is kind enough to let me be his guest. I'm not so bad as some people think I am. I've traveled here, rambled there, hoboed these states around. A good old pal to me. You're taking me where I wanted to go. I have the transportation free. Ralph, when I do the Merle Travis style, it's just flavored. It's really Doc Watson's arrangements of Travis's music. I don't play a lot of the big three-handed bar chords he used. Here's a little bit of something called Bye Bye Bluebell. that one's fairly easy unless you get into doing all the syncopated rolls and things that Brother Travis did. I did it the easy way, using the little vamp or rhythm beat with the muted strings and that simple. You can do it the same way, see? Or Bye-Bye Bluebell. Put the rhythm back with it. And then a little diminishing. Just to me mean, here's the hard way to do it. I don't know if I can break that down or not, Ralph. It's a matter of a two-finger roll. Succeeded in breaking it down slow, Michael. That's hard.
I know it Windy and Warm was a little tune written by John D. Loudermilk for the guitar. And my version starts out like this. That little vamp, you know, on the... That got
kind of involved, didn't it, Michael?
It did at that.
To slow that down, there's a little part or two I think I should illustrate. I played this enough long to be able to fall off the table real slow. If you get started right and your lead note starts and then this part here. Pinch the first and second, the second and third string. So you get a real even sounding double stop. And then instead of doing the next time around on that part, stretches the pinky a little bit, but it's real pretty to do it different when you go through that part the second time. This is the hard part. I used to call this the finger buster. This one's pretty hard. What chord is that, Michael?
You notice I haven't been asking too many questions.
I don't know the names of all these crazy sounding things, and they're not according to Hall. I have a feeling I'm not playing them like they're shown in the book.
I've been wondering, Doc, is how you're damping those strings there, getting that choke on there.
Well, you put this part of your hand right here, barely on the edge of the string, just where it comes off the saddle. And one of the main things you have to do when you learn this style, you learn to play an even rhythm with the thumb and damp it just right. If it kills it too much. And you got to know when to let up enough so you want those three strings open for the lead notes and sometimes the four. Matter of control. Somebody asked me one, how do you learn to play that good? You practice like the devil. I guess I better have some picks for this, Jack. I was almost attempted to, but I've played with picks for a good while. I used to do these things with the nail on the index finger, but I don't know where I have to admit it that I'm aging a taste or not, but the old index nail is getting soft. If I play more than a couple of tunes, it's gone. We tune because we care. My father-in-law, the late Gaither Carlton, used to play a tune, old-time style, good old mountain fiddle style, called Georgie. The original may have been called Geordie, and he knew part of the verses, and Ralph and I were, I believe, no, I guess we were at your apartment. Ralph Rensler here and I were looking at the Cecil Sharp collection, and we found a bunch of verses to this and kind of filled in the ones Gaither didn't know. Am I correct?
Yep.
London Bridge one misty morning early, I heard some fair young maiden say, Lord, spare me the life of Georgie. Go saddle me up my milk-white steed and bridle him so gaily. Then we'll ride away to the King's High Court and plead for the life of Georgie. So she rode all day and she rode all night till she was wet and weary. Then combing back her long yellow hair, she fled for the life of Georgie. Then Georgie rode up and he pled for himself. He says, I never murdered any, but I stole 16 of the king's best steeds and sold them in Ronani. Then the oldest lawyer at the bar says, George, I'm sorry for you, but your own confession condemns you to die. May the Lord have mercy upon you. If I was over on yonder hill where kisses I've had aplenty, with my sword and my pistol by my side, I'd fight for the life of Georgie. As Georgie was a-walking through the streets, he bid farewell to many. Then he bid farewell to his own true love, which grieved him worse than any. Georgie was hanged with a golden cord, just like you've never seen many, for he was a member of the royal race and loved by a virtuous lady.
Could Jack show us a little what he was doing behind you, Doc? This would be helpful. Jack, would you do it?
Do it again, that's pretty.
They were both different there, but the same kind of feel. I use a lot of open strings, and I think of chromatic banjo or chromatic or frailing banjo when I do those things, and it's a lot of open strings.
You want Doc to do anything slowly?
Let me do this. Let's do Southbound. I might say that when Merle did this, the late Merle Watson played this song, it was done three-finger style. I have to improvise, to say the least, on this, but I promised to put some of the flavor in it. I remember when Merle wrote the song, began to figure out the tune. We'd done almost 2 full weeks at the Gaslight in New York. And he'd been walking a big part of one afternoon, restless, wanting to go home. And he came in and said, I blistered my feet, I've walked so much. And I heard him in the next room fooling around with his guitar, and he was doing something like... I said, son, what in the world's that? That's mighty pretty. He said, I don't know, I guess might as well call it. And I can't really illustrate the three-finger style. I've been accused of brushing the finger across those strings, but actually, that index actually picks those strings as it comes by. A little pull off there for an extra note. And then your little, for the blues effect, and somebody said, I picked this part like the banjo. So it is a little bit like a banjo roll, I guess, if you want to do banjo rolls with 2 fingers. And then it changes. Bringing that thumb down there. And then this is the crossing bells as you go by. I'm sure some of you have ridden on the train or gone by one of those crossing bells. You're gone on by, you know. Had to represent the ride on the train musically as best I could with that little part. That was the only thing I did on the actual recording in the way of the lead. And Jack does, I think, a very able job of some fills and backup on this when he and I played it.
Doc and I play together with a lot of natural dynamics. When I'm soloing, he's laying back on the rhythm to the point where he's just underneath what I'm doing, and I try to do the same thing when he's soloing. I try to keep little fill runs and licks to a minimum through most of his solos, unless there's something I can do that really is going to accent what he does, like the little chromatic thing on the very end of his solo. It just seems to, I just do the on the very end of his solo because it just seems to push the solo out. You know, it just ends it really nicely. But the most thing is listening to the other man play, because if you're busy listening, then you're not going to pay as much attention to your playing, and you're not going to override the guy. You know, it's really crucial to listen to the man soloing, and try to stay out of his way. just be there rhythmically, and not do anything to take away from his solo, or and if there's a little accent you can put in there to add, you know, that's a matter of taste. This first thing is basically a chromatic thing from one octave to another. It's varied a little bit. It's not every note between the octaves. And it ends up being an accent a lot like your basic Lester flat type G run. Ends on that note. That's what I'm doing there. Let me do it a little slower. It's hard to do slow. It's about as slowly as I can pull it off and be smooth. And the rhythm, the little rhythmic thing, to me, when Doc is, we're definitely playing in the 7th there on the end of it, and to me that just sounds. If Doc could maybe play just a little bit of that ending when we're going out of it, it sounds like.
Let's do it.
It sounds like a train. That I'm doing an upstroke on the 7th in certain parts, and it just makes it sound like a train rattling.
Let's do a complete turnaround on it, Jack. Like only a little slower. glad I caught this train, 'cause I'd like to see my baby up in Lonesome. I long to see them hills that I come from. I'm going back to spend some time where I can have fun. When I ain't got a dime, I'm southbound. One more time. Jack, let's see if we can find a couple of the good old fiddle tunes here, a little medley, say East Tennessee Rag and Beaumont.
All right, sounds good.
You outdid yourself on that one, too.
Well, it's a little early in the morning.
You outdid yourself. Yeah, it's too early for you to pick that good.
Well, thanks. My thumb is not quite together yet today.
Well, let me see what I can, if I can fall off the table slow on this here, a dab of this East Tennessee Rag. I did one turnaround on the treble end of the guitar, and got down on the pretty good so far. And this little part down here, slide, you let the second string ring open. I guess that's the fiddle effect, Ralph. Then it goes into this second part, up on the treble strings again. I may do this a little different, falling off the table slow. I don't know. I'm not sure what I did a minute ago. I'll do it sensible. Here's what I did a minute ago. Remember that lick there, Ralph, from the days with Fred and Clint? I do indeed. And then this is actually this little part right here. We refer to that as cross picking, and for some crazy reason I do it different from everybody else. In the real Beaumont rag, if you play this part, it's a harmony to it. And the ending I played was, I think, and Jack gets the rest of the ending. I'm gonna let you confuse them a little more, Jack. But some of the things you
it's confusing to me too. I come from the put your fingers anywhere school of guitar, and it's kind of hard for me to sometimes get mental images of what my fingers are really doing, because I don't pay a lot of attention to it after a while.
I've expressed it, Jack, tried to, as a feeling when you really get into a tune.
On Beaumont Rag, like Doc was saying, he was doing that one cross-picking thing on there. When I do it, I'm doing the low-end thing that he was.
See, when I do my part, it's a harmony. We never did work it out to do that together. That's
no, we didn't. But let's count it down and play it and see how it works. 1, 2, 3, 4. It does work. It does work well.
Yeah.
The great thing about Beaumont Rag is the stops and the little things you can play in that period of however many bars it may be. I haven't really counted. You can save up your strangest lick for that. The weirdest thing you can think of to fit in those bars, and it's wonderful. You can play everything you know in that little stretch of time in Beaumont Rag. And I got this one thing. The first stop that I played on that, kind of listened to Django Reinhardt a lot when I I was growing up, and he did a lot of things like this. Clarence White also did this lick. Which sounds great up to speed. But it's, you know, it's out of a C position. You use the open G string, and it's all done between the 5th and 7th frets. And the stop on the other one was a very strange, it's a very weird lick. It's rather dissonant sounding. I think that's maybe why I like it, but I can slide from here, and it's just, if you can think of certain patterns, fingering patterns, if you were to put your fingers on any given 3 frets, like that, well, that goes all the way. You can just move one string up or one string down on the whole thing. And I do it, on some tunes I do it the reverse. But on Beaumont Rag, it's really nice, in that stop, to slide from here, slide from down here. So on that stop, it'd be, you know, I like a little comic relief in music, almost as much as I like tension in music. But that's about all I can think of on as far as the most interesting things that I think about Beaumont Rag when I play it.
Doc, is this a good time to move right to Black Mountain Rag?
Well, while we're in the picking, I guess, and got our hands warmed up, Jack and I both will show the different ways to play Black Mountain Rag. You can sure play it some different ways on the guitar. I came by the notion to play Black Mountain Rag on the guitar. I first heard Keys play it on the fiddle. And in the 50s, I worked with a rockabilly group, country swing or whatever. And a lot of times we didn't have a fiddle. I had messed around with fiddle tunes on the guitar before, but never had really worked at them. And the electric guitar was easy to play. Yeah, I played a Les Paul. Yeah, we tune because we care. Jack said, I believe, Jack Williams, old boy, played piano with us, then said, I believe you could learn some of these fiddle tunes on that guitar the way you get around with that flat pick. And I said,
Since it came up out of the audience last night, yesterday morning, would Doc explain when he does Black Mountain Rag how he does the harmonics?
you pinch the pick. I don't know if they can get this with the camera, to where, as the pick comes off the string, the edge of your thumb clips the string. It's not really harmonics, it's kind of cheating, gives it kind of a chunky sound.
Another question that came up, Doc, was how do you build up speed the way you do? What do you...
Well, you learn a tune slowly, like, say, Black Mountain Rag will. You learn it slowly to where you can get all the notes in clearly. First, if you're a beginner, you learn the even stroke. Up and down with the pick to where you can get them even and clean. Clean picking is one of the secrets of good picking. And then when you begin to learn melodies, you learn them slowly. And to learn the speed, you do it very gradually, and you practice like the devil.
Evenness of tone from the higher strings to the lower Because you have to hit some harder to get them to resonate with the same evenness as the others.
I suppose you would, especially on some instruments maybe, but I think as you learn, I think that evenness and tone and volume on each string will come naturally with the feel of learning the tune on the guitar, and you get used to your instrument. This one here seems to have about the same punch on all the strings. I think Jack's old D18 does too.
Break down Black Mountain Rag is a request we got.
Ooh. Jack, you got the hard part on this, and let's don't try to break down that country counterpoint. Let's give them that as a bonus and let them figure on it. Black Mountain Rag, I will do a complete turnaround of it as slowly as I can make it. Pick, make it a little harder. And then that chromatic sounding, almost chromatic, not quite, thing at the end. Let's do that again. Ooh, that's hard to do slow, Ralph. That's a whole lot of notes.
Doc together are supporting each other in different ways. Can you talk a little bit about what Doc was just calling counterpoint? Is there any actual harmony in this?
You know, I don't think there's any actual harmony there. There may be in certain parts of it. It's mostly a timing thing, a rhythm thing. What he's playing while I'm basically doing a melody, I guess. What he's playing there. It's not so much the notes he's playing that are in harmony with me, it's just the timing of them seems to syncopate that whole part in there.
Why don't we focus on you while Doc plays lead? Just happy, is that a useful thing? Okay, let's do just a little chunk, whichever part you think would be most interesting for counterpoint, and we'll focus on you with the cameras because we had Doc all the time he was playing lead. Can we do a little chunk?
I don't know whether I can remember what I did or not, Jack.
Okay, well, we'll go through
different, we'll live with it.
Go through your part from the top, and when it gets to it, we'll fit the part.
Okay, and we'll do it kind of half speed or whatever.
Oh, okay.
3/4 speed.
Right. slow as I could possibly do that. There's no other way. Way downtown, fooling around, took me to the jail. Oh, me and so my ain't no one to go my bail. It was late last night when old Willie came home. I heard him a-rapping on the door. He's a-slipping and a-sliding with them new shoes on. Mama says, Willie, don't you rap no more. Way downtown, fooling around, took me to the jail. Oh, me and so my ain't no one to go my bail. Get it, Jack. I was over at my sweet Sally's house, sitting in that big armchair. One arm around my old guitar, and the other one around my dear. Way downtown, fooling around, took me to the jail. Oh, me and so my ain't no one to go my bail. Get her, Michael. Like a man want to pat his feet. Well, it's one old shirt is about all I've got, and $1 is all that I crave. Brought nothing with me into this old world, and take nothing to my grave. Way downtown, fooling around, took me to the jail. Oh, me and so my ain't no one to go my bail. Way downtown, fooling around, took me to the jail. Oh, me and so my ain't no one to go my bail. Let's all take it home. Jack, a few times, buddy, good buddy, I've wondered if we hold our picks alike, or how we manage the hand or the wrist. I've thought about that some. You're awful quick with that thing every now and then.
Well, I think we basically hold the pick the same way. I like to curl my index finger a little and lay the pick in and put a lot of thumb across the top of it, with very little of the pick actually extending beyond my fingers. I get a lot more control that way, and with all that thumb across the top of the pick, it doesn't slide around and go various places.
Oh, now, I can tell you where I learned almost exactly the same technique. When I was just a young, well, I guess you could have called me a young buck. I was about 16 then. Me and my youngest brother cut wood for the tannery, extract wood, they called it, one spring. And I ordered a guitar, one of them little Silvertone jobs from Sears Roebuck, with my part of the money that we made out of that. And there was a little book came with that thing, and it showed you how to hold that pick, and it was just the way you described it, exactly. But I learned the hard way as far as wielding the pick. I use more elbow movement than I do wrist, and I don't know. How about you? How do you?
Well, I tend to play more from the wrist than the elbow. If you watch Doc, he does. He's got there's a lot of forearm movement when he plays. There's some with me, but for the most part, I do it a lot with my wrist. And Doc, well, as far as the way we hold the pick, it's a lot alike, but I noticed that Doc will extend the other fingers on his hands and they kind of glide along the pick guard.
Just as a depth guide to keep me at the proper depth on the strings with the pick, so I don't don't get disoriented, if you will, on where the strings are with that right hand. I have to touch this all along.
Well, I do the same thing, only I end up, instead of extending my fingers and using the tips of them along the pick guard, what I do is I tend to curl this part of my hand under, and my little finger and sometimes my ring finger nail will glide along the pick guard. And it's the same thing as Doc is saying. It's for a depth guide to know where my pick is, make sure the pick is making contact with the strings correctly. And also, in curling my fingers like that, it allows me, I tend to use these two nails on my middle and third finger on my right hand to play certain things. It could be the finger style type thing, or it could be just a note that I can't reach with my flat pick when I'm in the middle of a phrase.
He's cheating. That ain't fair.
Well, you gotta get those things where you can, when and where you can.
I wondered how you did some of that crazy sounding things, boy. Letting us in on his secrets here. If that'll do for the guitar, let's ask Brother Michael about some banjo technique. What'd you do on that thing? Talk about that little dab, son.
Well, I was starting playing a little bit, I think I was trying to play a little bit like Sam McGee did on an old record he made with Uncle Dave Macon back in 1920s. Kind of playing it a little bit like a guitar. Yeah. Like that. Using the third and the fourth string as bass strings and just picking it out on the two treble strings.
And did I hear a little dab of frailing somewhere on down in that?
Well, now I was picking in the way, picking up on a note there and then brushing down and kind of sound a little bit like the old claw hammer style, a little bit like the style you use too, Doc. Dropping the thumb down to that second string every now and then, too.
That's some pretty good licks there.
Well, thank you. Tell us a little bit about those fill-in licks that you do on the, when you're holding a note on this song.
Way downtown, fooling around, took me to the jail. Yeah, you just jail. It's just a walk-up run. Part of it's chromatic and part of it isn't. R.
Coming back downstairs?
Took me to the jail. This is a different kind of a thing, so you don't sound repetitious, backward, you know. Took me to the jail. Oh, you come right back down on your 4-chord. Oh, all fits in one, and it's kind of a feeling. You don't, excuse me, you don't really plan those runs. After you're very familiar with your instrument, like it's kind of like whistling, second nature, and you get so used to the instrument, you can sing and think a little bit of what you want to say or something with the music. Your fingers automatically say it. It's kind of a feeling like if you're in an interesting conversation with somebody and you're expressing your exact feelings about a thing. Music works exactly the same way, I think, with your guitar, violin, banjo, whatever you play.
The break you did up the neck, Doc, on that. Could you do that slowly?
It's double stops. Uh-oh. Sounds Delmore-ish there. I may do that with variations at times if I get kind of carried away or almost lose it or something, you know. I have to do something foolish to catch up. Tom Clarence Ashley tuned usually in a G modal tuning on the banjo. Those of you that are familiar with the old 5-string, you know what the G modal tuning is. And I used a minor chord to kind of blend in with his modal tuning. Usually an E minor position. I went to 3 with the cheater. And then that matched up with that modal tuning.
The first time I ever heard you, Doc, was when you were up in New York City with Tom Ashley. I thought that was one of the prettiest things I ever heard, is that guitar part you had on there.
Easy Young said it sounded like chamber music. It was a thrill to me when he started playing that stuff, Michael, and I got had a chance to sit down and see if I could figure out something to compliment him rather than cover him up with the guitar. You know?
It did that. Well, we could try this. I haven't picked the banjo at all this morning, and we've never played this tune together, but we could see what happens. We'll see. You'll sing it, though, won't you?
I'll attempt it.
Good.
Gonna build me a log cabin on a mountain so high so I can see my sugar babe as she goes on by. Oh, the cuckoo, she's a pretty bird, and she wobbles as she flies. She never says cuckoo till the 4th day of July. My horses, they not hungry, and they won't eat your hay. Gonna drive on a little further, feed 'em on my way. Oh, the cuckoo, she's a pretty bird, and she wobbles as she flies. She never says cuckoo till the 4th day of July.
Now, Doc, I'd never heard anybody pick that way on the guitar before I heard you do that. And that's just a different style that I'd heard. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, when I heard Clarence Ashley play Cuckoo Bird on the banjo, I thought, hey, I got to pick some guitar with this. And I figured out that the E minor position, matching his G modal tuning, worked great. And I began to think about notes that would kind of blend in with the banjo without covering it up. It's kind of a simple little lick or innovation on the guitar. There's another one of those pull-offs. They give you that little walk down. It's really easy done. That one is on the guitar. The banjo part's the hard part.
We need Kirk Sutphin over here to play some fiddle.
Yeah, boy. I've been all around this whole wide world, way down in Memphis, Tennessee. says, Papa, what's your pretty little feet? Mama gonna glove my little hand. You can kiss my rosy lips when you come back again. No, don't let your deal go down. Don't let your deal go down. Don't let your deal go down. For my last old dollar's gone. Take it home, boys. I thought about that one last night, Michael, and wondered if you'd think about it.
That's one of my favorite of those kinds of
Oh,
songs.
it's the first record I ever heard with Charlie Poole.
Is that right?
The guitar, I always thought of in the old-time string bands as sort of the foundation. You know, you put all the goodies on to kind of support it. And Riley Puckett and Roy Harvey and those boys had their own way. Get a little syncopated run down. All right. And when Riley Puckett played, he did some kind of hot licks on the bass line. And Doc Watson comes along and adds some more to it.
And smooth, too.
You have to have good pick to do that smooth stuff. Folks, thank you for coming with this workshop, and thank all of you that we'll see it on the video and enjoy it, whether it's Smithsonian or where you go out and take one for yourself to take home with you. Lord, we hope we've give you a little guitar and banjo wisdom that will help you learn the way you want to pick, you know. I love a guitar, and I know you all do. You wouldn't be watching this. Thanks again.